So you want to learn how to play Vulcan? Well, you came to the right place because I'm going to teach you how to build Vulcan, I'm going to tell you how to play him, and I'll tell you how to level his abilities. So let's get into it. Let's talk about Vulcan's passive. It is called Master Craftsman. When Vulcan hits an ability on an enemy god, he gets a boost of 15% movement speed and 15 MP5 for 5 seconds. Let's move on to Vulcan's 1. Let's talk about Vulcan's 1. It's fairly simple. You just blast yourself backwards by launching fire in front of you. It's got a pretty good range, and it's really useful for poking the enemy and then getting back to a safe distance. It also marks the enemy. Vulcan's 2 procs his passive, and it's a turret. This turret is extremely annoying to play against because it's got really good range and does decent damage. It's a really good deterrent to keep enemies off of you. Also, it changes targets and does extra bonus damage when your enemies are marked by your 1. So this turret will damage enemy gods, obviously. It'll also damage enemy minions, titans, fire giants, gold furies, jungle buffs, everything except for phoenixes and towers. And it's really useful. The only thing that's tough about it is you can only have one at a time. And when you place another, it'll destroy your old turret. It's a really good way to clear minions if you go home and you're on lane like in Conquest. You could have this clear wave for you while you go home and still get the gold for it. Vulcan's 3 is where he throws a fireball, it hits the ground knocking up enemies, and it does a bunch of damage and packs one hell of a punch. It's extremely annoying to play against, and it can be used to snipe enemies and their phoenix or towers because it's got ridiculous range. Vulcan's 4, or his ultimate, are 2 rockets that shoot out, and then once they hit the ground they explode, dealing insane amount of damage. That also has ridiculous range. Now Vulcan's ultimate only starts out at 75% of its maximum damage. Now if it's close to you like this, it's gonna do 75% damage. The longer the range is away from Vulcan allows it to do more damage because it has time to build up in the air. I don't know why it's like that, but it is. So make sure to shoot your ultimate far away at your enemies, snipe them, and deal over 1,000 damage easily. The first thing on Vulcan you want to level is his 1. Once you get that, put a point into everything you got, but you want to max your 1 first, your 3, then your 2. Any points that are available, always put them into your ult when you have the chance. To start the build, I like Vampiric Shroud, but going into Sacrificial Shroud is my favorite thing to do. If you don't like losing 5% of your maximum HP every time you use an ability in exchange for 15% more damage, giving you some crazy burst damage potential, you could always go Sands of Time. Really good item. And if you die with Sands of Time and get the alternate timeline, you could just straight up die and revive. It's pretty cool. The next thing I like to go into is Warlock's Staff because it gives you 10% magical penetration straight off the bat. It also gives you 150 health, 200 mana, and 95 magical power, which is awesome. And once you stack this bad boy to 75, it gives you extra 200-ish health and mana. Next thing I like to get is Kronos' Pendant, which is really good because it gives you 20% cooldowns, 20 MP5, and 90 magical power, which is decent, pretty decent. But every 10 seconds, the pendant activates. When it activates, it subtracts 1 second from all your cooldowns, all your abilities, your ults, everything, which is awesome. The next thing I like to get is Spear of Desolation. This thing allows you to hit super hard, giving you an extra 110 magical power, giving you 12% magical penetration and 10% cooldown reduction. Also, its passive is the bomb. The passive is, if you receive a kill or an assist on an enemy god, all of your non-cooldowns abilities are reduced by 2 seconds, which is awesome. But here's the best part. Your ultimate is reduced by 6 seconds, which is insane. The next item I like to get is Soul Reaver. Gives you 95 magical power, 300 mana, and your abilities deal an additional 2% of the target's maximum health as magical damage, which isn't too crazy until you read the rest of the passive. So if the target has over 2,000 health, your ability bonus damage scales up. This effect reaches a maximum of 9% maximum health damage at 2,750 health. Then, if you hit the enemies again, the same target, it's going to do half the bonus damage. So tanks will take even more damage. Most tanks have well over 3k HP endgame. This destroys tanks. The next thing I like to go is Rada Tahuti, which is awesome. Basic attacks and abilities do 25% additional magical power against targets below 50 HP. So if you're at half health, you're screwed. Now, you could upgrade Rada Tahuti into a glyph if I could actually get the glyphs to come up. And I like doing perfected Rada Tahuti because if you successfully damage an enemy god with an ability, it applies a mark for 3 seconds. If you damage them again, it consumes the mark and provides you 10% movement speed for 2 seconds, reducing your non-ultimate abilities for 1.5 seconds, which is awesome. Now, alternatives, you could also throw in Divine Rune for anti-heal, which is really good. Ethereal Staff, if you need some more bulkiness, you could kind of switch it out for Soul Reaver if you want less damage. Bancroft's Talon's cool. I personally like Bancroft's Talon. It's one of my favorites. Another one, I haven't messed around with this item, but from what I've seen on the interwebs, Sphinx Bauble is really cool. So if you want to toy around with Sphinx Bauble and tell me in the comments if it's good, you can. But I think that wraps it up for this build. If you guys like this type of content, please like, comment, and subscribe. See you guys later.